Hey there everyone, my name is Chris and I'll be your host for today's episode of Superhero Arena, where Thor the Asgardian God of Thunder takes on Martian Manhunter, the Swiss Army knife of superheroes. I'm not gonna lie though guys, if these two big boys came up against each other, I'd be a wee bit frightened. And I'm Batman! No I'm not. Thor's son to Odin, all-father of the Asgardian gods, and to the elder goddess Gaia, the living embodiment of Earth itself. He was born in a cave in Norway and immediately brought to Asgard, where he was raised to be the god of thunder and future heir to the throne. Growing up alongside his adopted brother Loki, who was brought into the family after Loki's frost giant father had been killed in battle. As the god of thunder, Thor commands all the elements of the storm and lays down the law with his hammer Mjolnir, which was forged from the indestructible metal Uru, sourced from the heart of a dying star. After centuries of defending Asgard from countless enemies, Thor started thinking he was the ultimate badass and became far too proud for his own good. Odin saw this and realized it could not go on any longer, so he decided to banish Thor to Midgard, aka Earth, to teach him some much needed lessons in humility. Made mortal and given the form of a handicapped human doctor named Donald Blake, he had no recollection of being a god. Odin's plan turned out perfectly and Thor quickly learned what it was like to be weak and humble again. When in his mortal guise of Dr. Blake, Thor was able to transform into his original god form by striking his walking stick, which is actually Mjolnir in disguise on any solid object. But in more recent times, this walking stick has become a thing of the past and no longer talked about. Due to his physiology of being half Asgardian and half Elder God, Thor possesses powers from both of the races, making him one of the strongest superheroes in the Marvel Universe. According to his father Odin, Thor is still not yet at his full potential, but when he reaches it, he'll be one of the strongest gods to ever exist. Some of Thor's more outstanding powers and abilities are as follows. Mjolnir. Thor was one of the most powerful weapons to ever exist, the Asgardian warhammer called Mjolnir, which was granted mystical energies by Odin himself. Not only looking awesome, but also being awesome in battle, this almighty warhammer grants Thor a whole multitude of mystical powers and abilities, which make him stronger than he already is. Some of these include Worthiness Enchantment. This enchantment prevents Mjolnir from being wielded by anyone except those that it deems worthy, and in the past this has been characters such as Thor and Captain America. Weather Control. Thor is able to control the elements of the storm and can create raging hurricanes, tidal waves, earthquakes and other weather extremities at a moment's notice. Thor is also able to shoot out weather effects from Mjolnir, such as solar flares, lightning bolts and ice beams, which not only look cool but kick some serious ass. God and Anti-Force Blast. Thor is capable of channeling godly energies through his hammer for the purposes of generating a single massive blast which is able to kill even immortals and cause harm to Galactus, along with annihilating entire planets. Now I think we've all heard enough about what this overpowered warhammer can do and want to hear what Thor can actually do himself, so go on to talk about just that. A few of Thor's powers and abilities include superhuman strength, superhuman stamina, self-sustenance, accelerated healing, and being a master combatant. Since the events of Thor's hammer being nearly destroyed in his battle with Bor, a weakness of Thor is now that his life is tied to his hammer, as was the warning of Doctor Strange when he repaired it. Another weakness of Thor is when he becomes so bloodthirsty in battle that he succumbs to the warrior's madness. Despite this allowing Thor to increase his strength and stamina tenfold, he loses most of his higher brain function and becomes unpredictable, unreasonable, and a complete savage, acting and reacting in a purely instinctual and animalistic manner. Many centuries ago, the Martians known as Mim and Shashin gave birth to twin sons. The first son was named Johns, whose name translates to light to the light. The other twin was born a mutant, not containing the usual Martian abilities, and was named Ma'alefak, whose name means darkness in the heart. As an adult, John became a manhunter, which is our equivalent to a police officer. Eventually married another Martian named Mariah and gave birth to their daughter Kim. Together they lived happily in their Martian abode. Years passed and John's brother Ma'alefak grew very bitter and despised everything about Martian culture since he was so different. So he decided to commit full-scale genocide like the maniac that he is, and engineered a virus known as Hronmir's Curse, which caused the Martians to burst into flames whenever they used their telepathic abilities. John tried to protect his wife and daughter but was unfortunately able to, and was forced to watch his family burn before his very eyes. The trauma of this horrific event caused him to nearly go insane. Meanwhile on the planet Earth, a scientist named Dr. Sir Erdel created a transmitter machine. Seeking to make contact with extraterrestrial life, he aimed this transmitter machine at Mars and fired it. By some huge coincidence, it landed straight on John and teleported him back to Earth. The anguish of John's mental state made him practically loony, but being the nice man that Erdel was, he nursed him back to health and restored his sanity. Erdel suggested that John had what it took to become a hero for all of Earth. And with that advice, John took up the heroic mantle and became the Martian Manhunter, ready to kick some bad guy ass. The Martian Manhunter possesses powers and abilities similar to all other Martians, but is arguably one of the most powerful of his race. This is largely due to his extensive training as a manhunter back on Mars and as a hero on Earth. He He is constantly compared to Superman when they fight together in the superhero team Justice League, since they possess such similar powers and abilities. But some of the Martian Manhunter's more outstanding powers and abilities include shapeshifting. John is able to control the molecular structure of his body and make it resemble anything he wants, including other people and even clothing and weapons. Martian vision. John is able to fire lasers from his eyes that can be directed and cause considerable damage to even Superman. Invisibility. The Martian Manhunter can cause the biopolymers in his body to lose their ability to reflect light, rendering him invisible to the entire electromagnetic spectrum and superheroes. Accelerated regeneration. He has shown amazing regenerative abilities in the past, being able to regenerate from nothing but a severed hand and from having his head cut off. Telepathy. John is the most powerful telepath on Earth and one of the strongest in the universe. He's able to read the mind of any and all human beings with no difficulties, and even superhumans at a distance as far as the moon. The Martian Manhunter can also use his telepathic abilities offensively and can cause complete mental shutdown in his opponents and literally reprogram the mind of any subject that he wants. Phasing. By greatly lowering the density of his own mass, the Martian Manhunter is able to protect himself from his enemies' attacks by having them simply go through him without doing any harm. Other powers and abilities that the Martian Manhunter possesses include superhuman strength, superhuman stamina, flight, self-sustenance, and telekinesis. The only known weakness of the Martian Manhunter appears to be the caveman's dream of fire. In the past, fire has caused him to fall unconscious, slowly lose his powers, and inflict extreme pain. It was never really established why this fear exists, but it may be a psychosomatic weakness from witnessing the fiery destruction of his own race, which is completely understandable. Another weakness of John, which is actually no longer a weakness, so not really worth mentioning, but I'm gonna do it anyway since it's hilarious. It's his addiction to chocolate biscuits called Chocos. That's right guys, even superheroes can have a chocolate addiction. Both of these being of such hard-hitting powers, and this is one of the most debated battles between two superheroes to ever exist. But after some impossible decision making and confirming with online sources, it appears to be that the one, the only, the Martian Manhunter is victorious. Both of these superheroes possess the best in the business combat experience from being in countless battles on their home planets, on their own and in their superhero teams, and thus equally as tactile as each other. The God of Thunder possesses some of the strongest powers and abilities of all comic book characters to ever exist, but the Martian Manhunter is able to match him in nearly all aspects, despite his overpowered Warhammer Mjolnir. All in all, these two heroes have such similar superhuman skills, but the Martian Manhunter takes the edge due to one huge single reason only: his top tier telepathic abilities, which he has used to control even godlike entities and the incredibly strong psyches of the White Martians. Thor has shown strong resistance to psychic attacks in the past, but the Martian Manhunter's telepathy is on a completely another level and simply cannot be resisted by the God of Thunder. To sum this bad boy up, this is an extremely close battle. However, just by the skin on his Martian teeth, the Martian Manhunter takes the cake, or should I say, takes the chocos. Thank you everyone for watching this episode of Superhero Arena. Hope you enjoyed learning about two of these badass superheroes and seeing the final verdict when they face off mano a mano. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to check out my other videos on the history of some of your favorite superheroes and supervillains. Until next time guys,